Welcome to another Quantum Conversation, brought to you by AcousticHealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a high vibrational event today, and my guest is going to be taking your questions. He is a channel of Archangel Gabrielle, and he weaves the divine feminine and the divine masculine together into an experience of high vibrational love, and you too will feel the shift. This is a show where we're going to talk about connecting to the elemental kingdom, the angelic kingdom, and also your own heart space and what may be heavy on the heart. This is where you can get assistance to lighten up a bit. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Let's welcome Peter Hansen, channel of Archangel Gabrielle, back to Quantum Conversations. Hello, Peter.
Hi, Lauren. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be back here. So much happened since last time, weekly, monthly, like we just talked about it just briefly before we started the show, is that June was in one category, July's been a different, and now we're in August, and that's a totally different ball game. And it continues to exponentially just expand. We individually and as a collective are going through all the upgrades, the downloads, the integrations, the activation of light codes within and without, and going through all those ascension symptoms as well. And we have the Lionsgate as well coming up. So we're feeling these energies already, and intuition is getting stronger, which opens up to more realities, more expansive views, more connectiveness, which we're going to talk about a little bit today, about the elementals and the angelic, which is a different realm. We're now starting to get, more and more people get deeper connected with, and communicating with, or playing with and having fun with.
Yes, having fun is the operative word. And it's interesting because it feels like a dichotomy where we can sense this need to have fun and be lighthearted. And yet there is this intensity that we talked about. And it does feel like this month is different out of this year, like we're rounding the corner of this year. And it seems like everything has shifted even from January of this year. Oh my goodness. Can you explain, you were talking about the new energies coming in and downloads and light codes. How would one recognize a download? Like, we get a lot of reports of ringing in the ears, or maybe just the sound in one ear will just go away. That could be a download. Is that right? How would one recognize when we have a download, and what do we do to unpack that download? What's needed?
It's a good question. And there's many answers to that question, because it comes in many different forms and shapes. Not all as pleasant as others, because some can, trigger stuff to be released, or trigger old programming within the individual, or in the bodies. It could be heat, it could be fever, it could be bloatedness, it could be headache, it could be ringing in the ears, like you mentioned, it could be aches in your body. Then on the feminine side, masculine side, both sides, arms, legs, knees, it can be anywhere, basically, and it's kind of like when we are a conscious observer of that, and we don't look at it through the lens of the third dimensional, the Western world, and attach stories to it, then we becoming the conscious, observer, and we start to see there's a pattern. It's like, okay, this is related to this, that's related to that. And the more we consciously engage with that, the easier it start flowing as well, because we're not trying to put it into logic or linear. We're not trying to make sense of it, in a sense, because we become multidimensional, where everything is energy. So our body is calibrated into one frequency, or many frequencies that was not our own before. So now we're in the process of releasing those and activating the divine blueprint within. And that's what these codes are assisting with. And it's aspects of us. You can say it's our galactic, it's our angels, it's our galactic brothers and sisters of the light, but it's also a part of our consciousness. It's aspect of us that's assisting with this transformation and with this activation, serving the whole. As we are creating the new world, as we're becoming part of it, it's starting from within. The new earth is within ourselves, but it starts outside and then comes within, and then we shift to that polar shift. So to answer that question, it comes in many ways. And what do we do? Sleep is one of the biggest ones, getting rest and not trying to fight the process, trying to be the highest version of yourself at all times. Surround yourself with anything light, eat light if you can, breathe in light, kind of be in a balance of lightness, and surround yourself with light people if you can. And if that's not possible, then try to go into solitude. So that will be the other way, and you will need that as well. So it's a lot of introspection. It's a lot of spending a lot of time with yourself and really getting to know who you truly are underneath all those facades and what you've been programmed to believe, or just been going through your life experience up till this point. So there's many ways, other ways than sleep, as well as like exercise, getting into nature, connecting with the elementals again, communicating, asking for help, and recognizing and also challenging your old belief systems. When you start to believe in fairies, start to believe in angels, believe in the other realms, the other kingdoms, then we gain access and we allow ourselves to receive not just help, but also communication. And it's a two-way street. There will be a mirror, so to speak, where they will be showing you what's out of alignment within. So treat animals nicely, be a good person, all of that, be the best version of yourself.
Yes, that right there is very comforting. And, asking for help and waiting and listening and watching and allowing for the signs, really key here. How about you? What is it like for you when you go to nature and you ask for help or you communicate with nature? Do you have a specific protocol or a pattern that you've established that we could kind of work off of?
I have a pattern, I would say, at this point, because it's not so it's conscious, of course, but it's just automatically happening because I do it so much. So it's a pattern. When I hike, let's say the first 15, 20 minutes, I'm releasing and I'm connecting with Gaia. I'm connecting with the trees, the air, the sun, all of it. So you start feeling it. There's specifically one hike I've been doing a lot lately, and it's very rough terrain, a lot of loose rocks and so forth. And I noticed that in the past as well, but especially in circumstances like that, how you just can feel your foot or your feet are guided towards certain spots, so you're kind of like dancing over this, rugged terrain, and it's like you're just floating. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's you kind of know where to step, and it's really magical and fun because you connect with Gaia and she's telling you step there, or Earth, like step there, and I got you kind of thing. And that's a very it's a very expansive feeling. And after the first 15, 20 minutes, if there's a lot that needs to be cleared, then I'm in channeling mode, and then I'm just receiving so much. I'm receiving messages or something that's been on my mind, the answer to that. Working with clients a lot, because I work with a lot of clients, so a lot of them pop up through or doing my hikes, and I get messages for them or another point of view, like look at it this way, and so a lot of that. Sometimes I bring my phone out and record messages, because then I don't have to think and remember it. Then I can just be flowing. So that's kind of fun. And also, like, you connect, you can feel everything, you feel the vibration of everything, and that's just like you're so connected, so present, that it just rejuvenates you, it charges you. then so afterward you step out of there, you just feel like, oh my God, why don't I do this more, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that, because I know there's many who can look in hindsight of their own patterns doing something like that and
Yeah.
feeling, wow, okay, that's what's going on. We're clearing first, clearing maybe cobwebs, it may feel like, and then the information that comes through. And again, the connection with Gaia, being brave enough to, I want to say that word brave, to go with the flow, to go with the feeling of nature. So suddenly, if we say, wow, I want to turn down that road looked really good. I actually found myself in that situation and it
Mhm.
turned into magic. And so, thank you for sharing your expression of how you go and walk in the world and how you bring your vibration higher to receive those messages. Wouldn't it be wonderful if everyone here watching and listening turns around and takes these messages that they receive and put it out to the world? How inspiring is that? That is so needed. And I think that's really what we're here for, is to encourage others to help empower not only themselves, but others. So really beautiful and very comforting. Okay, this show today is for a Q&A for our audience. So those in our Zoom audience, the Q&A box is a great place to post your question. You can also raise your hand and we can unmute you and you can share your voice with Peter. This will be live streamed on YouTube, so you don't need to share your video if you don't like. It'll all just be audio. And we'll take questions because this is your space today. So here is our first question from Carolina. And she says, the frequency of truth has been very important to me in the last few years. Is there any relevant information and guidance on how we can bring this frequency into our daily reality? So many are suffering because of lies perpetuated.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tune in. I got your permission to energy melt to connect with your higher self, Carolina. And thank you for showing up here. What is coming through right away is that be authentic. You showing up, you have to be the way shower. You have to be the forerunner. We can't wait for anyone else to do that. And I know you already know that. So it's important also to connect with that higher knowledge, that heart connectiveness, where you are speaking like language, you are speaking from the soul. It's beyond what the human voice can, in words, even translate. So it's the vibration you're speaking, the sincerity in your voice, the energy, the truth, the love that's being expressed through you, allowing that. So it's really, I feel in your case and with this question, is like, it's a challenge for you. It's a message for you to start looking at it that way, not observing so much, but start being more. And that's the thing. We all gonna go through this process in our own individual way. What we just talked about like a couple minutes ago is similar. Like everybody's gonna become from the student to the teacher and go through all the levels, because we need to do that to fully activate the multidimensional self and see ourselves and starting believing in ourselves and see ourselves in a new light. So we have to become the highest version of ourselves in that process. And the shortest route to that, to answer that question in a different way, is that become what it is you want to see in the world. I know it sounds like cliche, but really that is so true.
Thank you for that. Carolina, we hope that that resonates with you. Let us know. Thank you. And I saw a hand. You can bring your hands up if you'd like to ask a question, or you can use our chat box, which is really the Q&A box today. Okay, here we go. Here's Gabrielle. Gabrielle says, my life is full of beautiful energies and ideas and possibilities are popping up like flowers. Very grateful. However, working as a healer myself and as an actress at the same time, I always feel I need to decide between the two paths, which creates turmoil and pain within me. I would like to keep combining the two, serving with my energy and love, but maybe spirit wants me to do just one thing fully. Can you please feel into that?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you. I'm just going to bring in the Legion of Angels. I'm asking them to remove any wandering spirits, anything that's not a delight from this meeting and this question as well in your energy field where you're at, Gabriella. Just clearing the space and slowly energy melting with you and tapping into the question. And you already knowing the answer and you almost like asking for permission or still in a little bit of a non-decisive, but you know the answer. The answer is becoming one. If you're still in duality, then you're still in two realities. So the key is to bring those two together. So you're wearing one hat. So you are you all the time in all your relationships. And it's not just between the two you mentioned. There's many more. You being a daughter, you being a partner to somebody, or all of that, you know, your sibling, you name it, a friend, a colleague, all of that, all relationships. If you can show up 100% and you can be in full alignment and you're not dimming your light because of what you think they can handle or the way you think you're supposed to show up, that's still believing there's lack. That's still believing or living in fear. So recognizing where you do that, that will allow you to disassemble that and then collapse that and clear that, and allowing the higher version of you, the one who's fully present and the one who's the creator, and also the one who knows that this is your movie, that you are actually everybody on the movie set is either background or co-actors, or they have a role, but you wrote the script and you are directing it and you are the main actress. So it's important that you hold that higher perspective, keep that higher vision intact, because when you do, then there's no trap doors, there's no left for accident. You know, it's like you're open to receive, you're open to experience, but you are in oneness, you're in full and complete oneness with the universe and everything that is, and you are honoring the process, you are honoring that wholeness. You are not separated then, and when you're in full unity, then everything just falls into place. I hope that was helpful.
Thank you. That's helpful for all of us. Yes. And
That is true, yeah.
yeah, it really is. It resonates with our hearts. Here is a question, and I can sense it from the greater audience as well. When we show up 100%, I think we can all see and feel what that would mean. But you also use the words in full alignment. Can you help us understand how we get into alignment? Do you have a process yourself? And what does that mean truly to be in alignment?
To be in full alignment means that you prioritize your alignment, you prioritize your energy, you prioritize you and your awakening or ascension journey, that you put that on the top of your list, and that's what you focus on all the time. So you observe yourself, you notice patterns, you make sure you fine-tune your vibration at all times, because you know how important that is. Whatever is going on in here is going to be reflecting in the outside. So when we fully realize that and take that to heart, there will be challenges, there will be trials, but that's also planned to get us back on track, to fully understand how things work in this universe and in the bigger. So that's what that means. Be authentic, you know, be sticking to the higher consciousness, the higher beliefs of what you believe a golden age should be like. Don't do something that's disruptive or destructive, or something that you wouldn't want somebody else to do to you, you know. So it's important that we get out of the mind and the programming. And if we do get exposed to it, then try to wrap it with love, try to see through it, see wherever they are at. I know we're going to talk about that in the workshop coming up, about changing the story. And it's also about how we we can meet people where they're at, or we can still love them where they're at, even in their consciousness, even though they might only show up in a very limited kind of way. But that might be how they express themselves. That's their value system. That's their love language at the time, till they expand more. So that's a big challenge for us to see that bigger picture, being non-reactive, learning how to control our energy again. And it's all about that. Everything is in here. We can blame everything out there as long as we want to, but it's at some point it's going to come in here. And when we fully make that a priority and focus 100% on that and just tuning our energy continuously throughout the day, do what it takes, meditation, get into nature, sleep, all of that, and then find a balance and harmony within that, and have fun with it.
Yes, thank you. Sounds good. It is a priority. It is a priority. We are immaculately in charge of our energy. Yes. Let's go to Lori. Lori, I have allowed you to unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself when you're ready and say hello.
Hello, and thank you. Good to
Hi,
see
Lori.
you again, Peter.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
There's something that's been bothering me for quite a while. I know how important it is to meditate and connect. And when I do, and I connect to Mother Earth, Father, Son, and it's very emotional for me. And every morning I lay down and I think about it, and I know I need to sit, but yet I don't. And I'm always wondering, why do I not take that time? Why occasionally do I do it, and why some days I go through without taking that time?
Wonderful. Thank you. Do you have your permission to energy melt and connect with your higher self?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. I'm just going to bring in the Legion of Angels. I'm asking them to remove any wandering spirits and anything that's not a delight from your energy field and from this session, just clearing the space and slowly energy melting with your bodies and tuning into the question and allowing them to show me what's going on here. So it feels like there's kind of like 3 timelines running at the same time, not just 2. One is that there's the desire you can feel drawn in one direction, but then there's another one that feel like it's behind, it's still operating in the old, and it's still struggling, they still believe there's a struggle. So you have a foot in 2 camps in that sense, but then there is a third one I'm feeling when I'm tuning into your energy field here, and it ties into your childhood, it ties into your inner child as well. It is an unresolved part of your life that's not fully put to rest yet. Consciously diving into that and allowing whatever needs to come up and seeing patterns that's been following you throughout your life, or energies that's been, you can say, holding you back or triggering you every time you start to getting good at it, getting good at being spiritual, then it kind of triggers you or direct you in the other direction. And we're still capable up to very recently, and it's still that's still the experience that you're observing. But what I'm seeing is that you are in the process of breaking through, because as you are sleeping at night, you have a huge team working with you that's assisting you with activating these divine templates and the DNA within you. So they are assisting you with bypassing a couple of steps that you would have gone through in the physical. So that's accelerating your journey, and that's not only did you choose it that way, if you look from the bigger picture, but it's time. It's like you wouldn't even have time to go through that old way of doing it. And that's something that the human mind, which is that other reality, have a hard time comprehending, because it's trying to put the boxes in order and it is not able to. And that's a part of what's kind of shaking you up a little bit, I'm feeling. And that's the emotion you're feeling on the other side too, the inner child coming up and being sad and being emotional is because you feel a little bit of shame that you're not strong enough, but it's not founded in reality. It's just a emotion that was connected to a old belief system. So that kind of comes up and feed that fire a little bit. But again, you are pushing through it. So as everybody will understand and experience at some point in the ascension journey and awakening journey, is that you have to surrender. You reach a point where you have to surrender to the logic and the linear, and you have to just push through. And even though you don't see the results right away, you have to keep going. And that is how we get through that veil and step into that next phase. So that's where you're at right now. Try not to beat yourself up over it. Everything's going to be fine. Everything is in alignment. Everything is planned out in a certain way. So you really, in reality, you can't do anything wrong. You can't mess this up. In other words, you just have to let go of that mind that keeps telling you that you can, or believe it can, you know?
Thank you. We do tend to beat ourselves up when we don't.
We do,
if that's
yeah.
time.
You have to give yourself permission. That's kind of what it is, comes down to too. There's the part of you saying, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. But that's also a program that's just echoing. Do you know?
Thank you so much, Peter.
You're welcome. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Laurie, don't beat yourself up. You know, what's interesting is that we give so much weight for our doubt, more than our hope and dreams. So if we recognize that right there, next time we have doubt come up, it'll just be easier to flip it and say, I'm not going to doubt myself. I'm going to put all the energy into my dreams and my vision for New Earth. Yes. Okay. Let's go to another question. This one is from Deborah. Deborah says, thank you for this beautiful blessing. I would like to know what message Archangel Gabriel has for me to move forward in August to fully align with my divine self.
Okay. I take it that I have your permission to energy melt and connect with your higher self, Deborah. So I'm going to tune into you, bring in the Legion of Angels. I'm asking them to remove any wandering spirits, anything that's not the light, and tune into your energy field and feel your soul and your higher self, and allow us to get that answer forth. So what is lined up for you in August? We already is just starting in August. And the funny thing is, they're actually showing me that in the world we are living in, we are going by the month, July, June, August, so forth, but actually already it's overlapping. It's like a phase more. So you're already in, kind of like with the Lionsgate as well, you're feeling the energy of the Lionsgate in the end of July already. And it's the similar when you asked about the month of August, is you're already in it, you've been in it, so it's important to look at everything that way. And that's what a part of the answer to your question is as well. As you become more and more multidimensional and higher aspects of you are activating and become accessible for you, then all those old constructs are falling apart because you are expanding beyond them. So that framework, that's what you're going to be experiencing here in this month going forward, is that you will have many resets, like you had many in the past, but these will be more frequent. And it's like, you can look at it as being a reinvention of yourself in a sense too, because each time you reach a new reset point, even the belief system you had right before is going to be expanded and almost shattered, not in a negative way, in a very expansive way. So you're going to see even more, to such an extent that you're getting such an insight and such a connectiveness with the divine that it is blowing your mind, meaning dissolving that old limited consciousness, the single, individual consciousness in the human. So that is what you're going to be experiencing in August. It's going to be a huge expansion. and it will send out shockwaves through your life. And again, they already are. So it's going to continue, but it's not going to be as disruptive as it has been, because these waves are like not just only you, but your surrounding is more experienced now. So it's not just you that's better at serving these waves, but what you surround yourself with too is falling into alignment more and more. So it's not going to be as choppy. It will be not less intense. It's still going to be intense, but it's going to be in a much more harmonious and divine way. It's as you're shifting waveforms. So it's like the waves were very rapid at first, and then now they're more curvy, and then they're going to come in and be much more like in sync. So it's like hitting that sweet spot, so to speak. That was an interesting answer.
Oh, thank you. We've got more questions, but I'd like you to explain a little bit more on these energies that are coming onto Gaia. And if you have more to say about the Lion's Gate, and you mentioned earlier upgrades from these light codes. What is going on there? Is this something that happens every year, or is this just unique that in this moment of time that we're further ready to take on more of this energy, to be with it more, to integrate it more in our physical bodies?
It's been going on for a long time, but not to this intensity or this so intense, and we are in the golden age now. Everything is aligning. We can physically feel that planets are shifting, changing. The sun is in different spots. Even the magnetic, the gravity is different. Many more things that we did not experience in the past is now present, and we are experiencing. So these codes reach again another phase where they're activating, first they're clearing the old, but now they are activating these other realms, the light city, the new age, the combining dimensions, allowing the merge to happen, allowing people to transcend or ascend into the next more broader reality. And these codes are it's activations, so it's crystalline codes that's super packed and is light that activates our DNA. So it was very limited before, so it expands, so it becomes many more strands of DNA, 144,000, and whatever name you want to put it, is really limitless. But it's as we expand more and more, we become more and more connected. And we are in that golden age that happens every 26,000 years. What we know about, what we have access to, there's more beyond that, though. There's a much bigger picture than that. That is still a story, in a sense, a report or a channel that was commonly accepted,
I have ringing in my ear right here. All right, that's really good. All right. Well, this is why we can, we've had reports of people being able to feel everything. You even mentioned it. We can feel things now. We can feel, especially when we're out in nature. We have a comment here from a listener who says, Lana, who says, years ago, I took a hike in an area that was full of boulders and large rocks on the path, and soon I felt they were alive and welcoming me. Never felt this before or since, but it was amazing, and never forgot the knowledge that everything in nature is alive. And on that note, I want to add that if we really take time to pause and reflect and to feel, we can literally feel our connection with everything. We can see how we affect everything. And you actually said what's in our heart will be reflected back to us. I guess that's part of this picture, but it's just fascinating and it's wonderful. And isn't that a good place to start as we're navigating these times, is by looking at those feelings? So when we get into you use the word surrender. Is there anything else more that you want to add? Like when we get into some of the denser things, letting go of that, is there any special protocol or technique that you use to simply let go?
There's many, and that's the thing. As we fill up our toolbox, then I kind of want to jump back just a couple steps with the young lady Ilana who talked about that hike. How it's kind of like the universe is or you leaving breadcrumbs for yourself. So when you felt that feeling, that's kind of like showing you this is where you come from. This is what you're made of. This is the direction you're going. So it's just showing you that unnamed before. And it's important that we have those breadcrumbs, because that's when we feel alive. That's when we feel complete. That's when we feel like we belong here even, so it's that mother's love in a sense, just exponential, like it's just so deep, unconditional love, connectedness, everything. There's no struggle. It's just peace and allowing and surrendering, and it's just have this flow, and going with that flow, being a part of that flow. That just feels magical. So to answer your question about the tools, those tools that we activate assist us with staying or coming back into that flow. I made a meditation that's going to be with the workshop as well, and it kind of, my personal tools I use nightly to clear myself before I go to bed. I always sit and meditate before I go, and when I go to bed, sit in the bed a little bit, and I bring in the Legion of Angels. I'm asking them to remove any wandering spirits, anything that's not of the light, clearing the day. I bring in the galactic brothers and sisters of the light, allowing them to assist me even with the stuff I don't know I need. And in that meditation, it'll be a guided meditation that's going to be very helpful for many. And it's not just for sleep time. It could be for lead into a meditation, or just throughout the day. You just want to clear your mind, because that is one of the biggest ones, is that we have these reoccurring thoughts going on, all these voices, or we are around people, we are around old programs, we are around people that might not operate where you're from yet. So they might still, in a sense, be agents of the matrix, because they're still transmitting those old frequencies. That's very triggering. So that in itself is a very deep and profound observation, and learning how to not be in judgment and not be non-reactive. Another tool, and voices that you can feel as you're becoming stronger and stronger with your intuition, and say, you're not my thought form, leave now. And there will be so many of those. So learning, integrating those tools, the Ho'oponopono, I mentioned that in that meditation as well, and several other things, is that there's many different ways of bringing it back around and seeing it from different perspectives. And really comes down to what you believe within. That's what you're experiencing without. So by taking your power back, not allowing the matrix or the old system, the old distorted frequencies to dictate how you feel within, then you start living in peace and in bliss and being complete and full again, which was you were before when you came in.
That is true freedom. That is really sovereignty and freedom, to be free from those other energies and to really be guarding. That might not be the right word, but to be immaculate with our vibration.
Interesting you said that, because there is a point where we do guard, or it's coming from changing our boundaries, where in the third dimension we have no boundaries. Then we come into the fourth and we start to realize that I was a wide open target. So then saying, I'm not okay with this, or I allow a little bit of that, or a little bit of this, I want to see a little bit of this. That's important part of the fourth dimension as we step, or travel through that into the fifth, where we don't need any of them anymore. Because then we're in full unity. Then there's nothing outside anymore. It's fully contained within. You're operating from oneness, and whatever you are radiating from within is what you're experiencing without instantly. So you're walking in the dream. There's not that lack, you know what I mean? There's not that delay. So just to answer that again, is that, there is protection or boundaries needed to disassemble, you know, the old wrongdoings or the old destructive mind control and patterns we had, self-sabotaging belief systems. We need to kind of clear that out. And so it can feel like we are protecting ourselves. It's more, I would look at it like more empowering ourselves.
Yes, more empowering ourselves. I love that. Thank you. That feels
We're taking ourselves more serious. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Our mission, our purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're stepping up. It's like, nope, I'm not gonna allow that anymore.
Mm. This goes right into Diana's question. With all of the energies that are coming on to Gaia, it can be challenging for the physical body. Any suggestions on how to use the energy in specific ways to assist in raising the body to a 5th dimensional level?
Diana, thank you. I'm just going to bring in the Legion of Angels. I'm asking them to remove any wandering spirits, anything that's not of the light from your energy field, just clearing the space to answer your question. So specifically for you, allow the light in. Allow yourself to become the light again. The ascension symptoms is a byproduct of the activation happening in your body. So not resisting that, not trying to control that, not trying to look at it through the eyes of the old, and not be reactive to it, so to speak. The sooner we do that, then we're allowing that death and rebirth cycle to take place. And that's really what it comes down to, is that if we're resisting, then it takes longer. So it's important to allow the light to come in and just shine through. So by becoming the light consciously allows you to be in the highest alignment. And it will speed up the process, and it won't be as heavy as it couldn't be in others who's resisting it. You will still go through some bloatedness and sleep and so forth, you know, headaches sometimes. It's simply because there's some big downloads coming in. But again, if you can be in non-resistance to that and be appreciative of it, take a, you know, what do you call them? Advil, sorry. If you have to with the headaches, otherwise just try to just cruise through it. Allow yourself to be a receiver instead of trying to figure it out, you know?
Thank you. We're going to go to a caller now, and this time we're going to Christy. Christy, hello.
Hello. Hi. Thank you so much for
Hi,
taking
Christy.
my call.
Thank you.
I was going to ask one originally, but it felt like every answer has been speaking directly to me. So then I took my hand down and then I put it back up because I just have this feeling you have something to tell me, and I'm not positive what it is.
Okay. Do you have your permission to energy melt and connect with your higher self?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I'm just going to bring in the Legion of Angels. I'm asking them to remove any wandering spirits, anything that's not of the light from your energy field, and just connecting with your body, bringing in the Archangels, slowly energy melting with you, and feel what's going on, allowing them to show me what you need to know here. First thing they're showing me is that you are in the process of shedding your skin, so to speak. Your body is going through a transformation. There's triggering certain old fears and value systems. That
Yes.
is, as you are going through this part of your ascension, your body will age briefly before it gets younger. So it kind of it looks like it's aging through the human eyes, but it's clearing that old carbon-based DNA and it's pushing it to the surface. And then underneath come out the younger baby skin, in a sense, you know, and the DNA, the one that's vibrating faster and operating from the quantum field. But as humans, you know, we're so programmed to the value systems, how we fit into reality, into society, into the collective is attached to certain ways of looking or being or self-worth, all of that. So that is also a part of that transitioning happening that's being brought up to the surface just to be examined and cleared, because it was artificial. It's just coming back to your true frequency. Does that resonate with you?
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. That was exactly what I needed to hear. I actually feel more peaceful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Don't
Yeah.
worry. Just hang in there.
Thank you. Thank you. I needed that.
Welcome.
Beautiful question, Christy. Thank you. I feel it resonates with all of us. We're right there with you. And even in our questions, Doug says two things. At first, he said he's having trouble staying awake when you're speaking. Very interesting. And then he says he feels like he doesn't need to ask anything because Peter is going through so much with each person and it affects him as well.
I would like to jump in there and address that a little bit. When we at first are exposed or listening to high vibrations coming through somebody like myself, it can be such a high vibration that the human body is falling asleep or almost asleep. It's just such a vibration that we're not used to. And it also, does have a benefit because it does receive the code still. You know, your soul is still listening, your higher self is still there, but the vibration is so high that it puts the old carbon base to sleep. And that will change over time. The more that comes in, the more you receive, then your body become a conscious transmitter and receiver as well, and more and more. So you won't be affected by it as much in that way. You know, you can stay awake then.
Very interesting. And that feels really true because when we are immersed in high vibe, we do get tired. And what we know from hypnotherapy and meditation is that it's the relaxation that the body needs to allow that information to come in and integrate. So that makes perfect sense. Okay, well, sweet dreams, Doug. Okay. And let's go to NG, the name NG. You can unmute yourself and ask your question. Hello. Hi there, you're unmuted. You are unmuted, but we're not picking you up. So you might want to check your microphone. I'm going to leave your mic open, okay? And if I hear mic coming, I'll circle back around for your question. Sorry about that, NG. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Another question. Here's one from Helen. I live in South Africa and I'm presently in the UK with family and have been thinking of moving here to be more of service. It's a complicated situation, and since being here, I'm wondering whether I'm wasting my time. There's the doubt. I know it's about staying in truth and not being reactive, etc., as you have already been discussing. I guess my question is whether for myself it's more appropriate for my own growth to live in the UK or to stay put in South Africa.
Okay, wonderful question. Thank you. I'm just going to bring in the Legion of Angels. I'm asking them to remove any wandering spirits, anything that's not the light from your energy field. Just clearing the space for this message to come through and allowing the Archangels to come in. And tuning into your heart space and allowing to see your soul blueprint. Just hang on, I'm just going to tune in there. A big part of your greater being is very active in the galactic, which is also the angelic as well at the moment. And it feels like your time in, or your work or your mission in Africa is complete. So for you, not saying that you can't stay and not do any good there, but for you to fully step it up and fully transition and fully being seen, and not only by others, but by yourself as well, a shift and a change in location is going to accelerate that path so much more. It is kind of like leaving an old life behind, an old self behind, and all the kinks that was surrounding that old self. So I I can feel like you're already thinking that and feeling that, but not fully seeing the logistics yet. And that's because the human mind is trying to figuring out, or make the right decisions based on what it has to its disposal. But if you can look from the higher perspective and allow yourself to be in alignment and show up and follow that inner intuition, allowing that inner guidance to move you to the new location, then everything, there is a whole new life there waiting for you. There's guides, there's soul contracts lined up that will serve you as you're showing up. All that's been waited for is for you to actually do that, and then that will get triggered and activated, and you will be blown away. And it is guiding you to living bigger, larger, stepping out of those small shoes. Allow yourself to just take big leaps. What seems so, so big and so impossible, it becomes less and less impossible. It becomes more and more possible as you become more and more limitless and expansive. And it's not that you owe yourself this, but you already planned it. So the sooner you can actually follow through with that, the sooner everything else is going to fall into place. And you're going to feel so much more connected, and you will be able to believe or release whatever was holding you back in the past, or made you feel disconnected. It's because you outgrew that area. You're ready for the next phase of your life. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There are more questions that we're going to get to support everyone who's on this episode. I would love for you to tell us more. And I'm looking, and there's 44 participants in our Zoom audience. Isn't that beautiful? Angelic sign right there, and a new foundation. So we have a really exciting event with you. It's a live webinar. It's going to be 2 hours, and it's really changing the story. And I love the description that you use, because I've often wondered this myself. It's like, in one instance, it's changing the story from, judging other people. And you give an example, like you're out on a hike and you pass a person and you say hi to them and you smile, but they don't even notice you. And do you know, personally for me, that used to like get under my skin so much. It'd be like, what is going on? Are they even human? But what you're saying is, don't let that pull us down. So you're doing a webinar. I'll let you speak to that. But this webinar is changing the story from emptiness to everything makes sense. Tell us about this program, and then the 3 meditations that go with it.
Absolutely. And that example is wonderful, is that how we make up stories in our mind a lot of times, and then bring that into our experience or into our reality, or label people, put them in a box. And by doing that, then we also keep ourselves kind of locked in if they are in our life, and it also brings up all programming, all triggers within each one of us. So I'm going to be highlighting that. And there's 3 videos. One is the meditation one, but there's 2 other ones that's actually, it's just giving additional information, like deep stuff, that different point of views, how it could be showing up in your life. So it's very useful to seeing it from multiple perspectives. Everything we're going to be talking about, then in addition to that, some of it's going to be covered in that too, but just like really in depth, leaving a job, leaving a partner, what does that look like? There's the old way of doing that, and there's a pattern. So changing that story, align with what we want to experience, allow the new you, and be a conscious creator, allowing yourself to say, I don't want that anymore, because we have those powers, learning to tap into that. So the internal dialogue is really about that, learning to observe, learning to interact, and just not leaving things to chance as we did.
And that could be quite harrowing if we are doing things from a different perspective as we evolve love, and we do it in our new pattern. We're just so used to doing it the old way. And if we know we need to make a change somewhere, we could be scared to make that change. Again, here comes that doubt. So this is really tapping into that part of us that actually trusts, and it is our innate knowingness. We know what we know within ourselves, and even if it doesn't match societal norms, we can trust ourselves enough to live that way. And again, you mentioned it earlier, do no harm, or we're not harming anyone or anything. We're showing up as the best version of ourselves. So it's just very interesting that, you know, I feel it. I know others may feel it too. Reflecting on your words, it's like, wow, if I have to change something in relationships or patterns and things, that could be quite frightening, but there doesn't need to be any fear. Any words on how we would move through that?
Not looking at everything as being black and white, because that's really what it ties into, to that person you met on the hike, you know, and thinking, oh, they're a bad person, they're not, they're probably crappy, they're probably rude. But that's still, it puts you into a vibration where you're judging, where you're not being your higher self. So learning to love people exactly where they're at, that's the key to shift and transmute that energy, and recognizing that, you know, they're not where you're at, so they're not going to understand. They might not even see you. They might not even hear you. You might be in a different dimension. That is a real thing, that people can walk into you, or at the grocery store, the teller at the line, the check line, you know, they don't see you till you speak. They might be in a totally different world. So recognizing that and not being in judgment about it, being the higher version of yourself, and love them exactly where they at. And a lot of times it will be family members as well, where you just make up all these stories, or this, her, or he, or them, they're not good for me, I need to get away from them. And that's old pattern of running away, you know, where we're not recognizing where they're at. And we're just trying to run away from that and then have that experience again with somebody else.
Yeah, it really is the end of all judgment, judgment of others and judgment of self. That to me feels very fifth dimensional, doesn't it? There's no judgment in the fifth dimension, or is there?
No, you connect with everything as a part of you. So you're part of me. Everybody you meet on your it's just another aspect of you that's having a different soul experience. And when we take full ownership of the universe in that sense and that way, then we're connected to everything, and then we don't judge, we don't, you know what I mean, we operate from love, unconditional love. We just allow, surrender.
The operating system is love. Yes,
It is.
that's the operating system. I see that world, I feel that world. And I'll talk more about that. I've got another question for Archangel Gabriel around that. I just want to make a mention that the special offer that you have for the workshop, the webinar coming up in just a few weeks, the dates are right here on the webpage. The link is in our chat for the Zoom audience. And on this webpage, you'll see the special offer link. That's a beautiful live webinar. It will be recorded. Again, it comes with 3 recorded meditations, guided nighttime meditation, leaving old realities behind. And I just quit my job. Now what? That's exciting.
I want to jump in there. Actually, there's only one meditation. The other 2 is recordings that actually, yeah, it's not a meditation, the other 2.
Okay. They're bonus audios that come, and they're empowering as well. Thank you for that. And I wanted to say as well that there are personal channeled healing sessions with you. You can do a 30-minute or a 60-minute with Peter. I've actually done a 60-minute. It's absolutely luscious. It's so nurturing for the soul. Talk about resonation. This is great. It's beautiful. So if you want one of those sessions, that's there on the webpage too. And we are including with those channeled sessions an earlier webinar with Peter. And that one is Take Your Spiritual Practice to the Next Level. That was beautiful. It had a sound healing session in it with Archangel Gabriel. So that is you know, what I love about this is it's very affordable. And it's something that is for everyone. So everyone check it out and join us, please. We're excited to see you. Again, it's on Zoom, and that's such an intimate platform. You can ask your questions, and you can ask specific questions to Archangel Gabriel as well. All right, thank you. So I wanted to ask again, what was that question? Can I go back to it? Oh, yes, here it is. So, it feels good to be in the heart center, and the unity that we can feel from that. And that's all it takes. It seems so simple to just say, all I need to do is this perspective of love from my own heart. Does Archangel Gabriel have anything to offer on our collective, on if there's, I don't know, if I don't need a date or anything, but is there a percentage of humanity? Is there some indication of quantity of people that are there? Are we 50%? Are we a little bit more, a little bit less? Where do you think we are in the majority of people being in this alignment?
Good question. Let me tune in. Let me ask Gabriel here now to answer through me. The first thing he's saying too is coming through here is that we reached the critical mass a little while back, and that's why everything now is just we're going through phases really fast, and it's shifting and accelerating rapidly. So tune into your question in quantity. Let me see here. The collective knowledge, or that there's 8 billion people here, is not a good way of answering the question, because those numbers are not correct. So if we look at it in a percentage while of people being here, actually souls being on Earth, it's a better way. And it does, what they're showing me, I'm hearing a 7 or 70. So there's 70%, which sounds like a huge number, and it's very shocking, I think, to most. But remember, this is the conscious beings here, the souls, the real participants. There's a lot of shadow people or filler that's a part of that old matrix that's not been taken into account here. So in that light, then the 70% is not that crazy. And it really, what it comes down to too, is the alignment, is also the missions, is also people who signed up to be here and have a mission being here. And even the one who just started awakening, or not even aware of it yet, is many of them are in this 70%, because unconsciously, and then the blueprint is being activated, they're receiving the codes, so that counts as well into the collective. It's a part of the rejuvenation, the cleanse and the clearing, and the activation of the unified heart, unified field of consciousness. And it's coming into much more of a sphere or sun, whatever you want to say. In that oneness, the collective consciousness is one, and it's round, where we look in linear, it's like, okay, there's 0%, there's 100. It does not work in that sense, but it's just like 70% is now tuning into the sphere, if that makes sense, and feeding it.
That is so great. It's beautiful, really wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So we have NG. Hi, NG.
Hi, can you hear me?
We
Hi,
can,
Angie.
Goddess. Hi.
Hi, Laura, Peter. I have a question, and it's regarding my son. And I'd like to know if there is my son. I don't want to get in. I don't think the backstory is that important, but he's recovering from a car accident, and anyway, he's having problems since he's gone through that. He developed migraines, and he seems to be having problems. Again, I thought he was on track with work. He had a good 5 weeks under his belt, 4 or 5 weeks. And now it seems like he's having a setback with migraines, I know the allergies, pressure in his head. Can you speak to me on that? How do we get him well?
Absolutely.
He's working with a really great psychiatrist who's working with trauma, and they've made a lot of strides. But what else can we do with this setback he's having?
Do you have your permission to energy melt to connect with your higher self and his?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm just going to ask his higher self as well for permission to energy melt with him as well to get the clear vision and message here. So I'm bringing in the Legion of Angels. I'm asking them to remove any wandering spirits, anything that's not a delight from your energy field, from the session, and from his and yours, the life situation, just clearing the space and allowing me to see what's going on here, allowing Gabrielle to come through. First of all, I mean, I love the question you have, and I know you already know the answer for being here today, is that the psychologist is working with the Western medicine. He's just targeting one part of it, not the spiritual part consciously as much. And that's really that's the integration, because he's recovering and he's healing at the same time as he's receiving all these incoming codes. So sometimes they are being, misdiagnosed in a sense as, oh, this is because of that, or just assume that everything is because of that. So it's leaving out the ascension process, the awakening process that's occurring at the same time. I do feel too with the psychiatrist, there's no judgment for the profession and the work and the way that's being done, that work. But at the same time, it does create a story. It creates a little bit of a victim mentality and a little bit of keeping the trauma alive, that by being a little more open to a different reality and jumping and collapsing what happened, and in a sense also take ownership of it, meaning that it happened, and everything that happens on our journey is a part of our blueprint, a part of the story, even though we with the human mind can't really comprehend why. But actually there's an opportunity for him to break through psychically much faster this way, if he's being encouraged to do it, if he's being guided to do it, and if he's being guided in the right direction, I would say, because that's the thing. If you go down the trauma, then it's more about going deep and keeping it alive and dissecting it, instead of expanding from this opportunity that actually was created through the accident, which is not a popular belief, but actually there was a wide opening happening there. He gained access to the other side for a limited time, where now he's being almost like a child, where as kids are born, the first 5 years, they're very active in the spiritual and in the elemental, hearing, seeing things, and then school, parents telling them, oh, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that, that's, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. There's a little bit of that happening here again. So we don't want to repeat that, if that makes sense.
Well, I guess a little bit, yeah.
Does that make
right
sense?
now
It's like, go ahead, sorry.
well, right now he has, I don't know, he's physically feeling ill with the migraine, whatever, the allergies triggering at the sinuses, where he can't work. Okay. He's feeling stuck. By the way, his psychiatrist, she's bent towards the spiritual way, and she's kind of.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I feel that his ascension symptoms, everything that you're describing, the sinuses, the headaches, is all being magnified by the coach coming in. And that is ascension symptoms, is that it activates, and his pineal gland is being cleared, decalcified, and activated and expanding. That is all happening, and he's clearing old family stuff as well in the process. And that's what's kind of like holding him back. And also the motivation. It's hard for him to just go back to what he did before, I feel, because he don't feel the motivation for it or the connectiveness with it anymore. Because in a sense, he's seen that breadcrumb. He's seen a bigger picture of what's available, of what his mission is. So it's hard to go back to something that's not going in that direction, if that makes sense.
Yes, that does. So how does he get out of this?
Good question. Try not to fight it. So you asked earlier how can we help him? How can you help him? Really try to be supportive in that, allowing him to take the time off he needs, allow him to be the master or the driver of his boss or his journey. So trying not to put pressure on him, allowing him to make his own decisions, because he have the answers. It's just like he's trying to people please a little bit at the same time as he's resisting. You know what I mean? So it's like he's in a kind of a locked, difficult place right now. So by allowing him to make the next decisions, even by leaving that job and go into free fall somewhat, that would allow him to shift his vibration and his frequency. And I feel like that will unlock a lot of the symptoms he have right now, because it's like there's a lot of emotions connected to that at the moment. That's not
to
serving
his
him.
job.
Right, and to him not wanting to go, feeling guilty, feeling, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Okay. Thank you. Well, what about, I have similar, I've been having similar symptoms for about 6-7 years with my head. And, I mean, before he's had it, and it's very debilitating at times.
So what can you do, you're asking?
Yes. How do I get out of this?
Making conscious life changes, observing yourself. Where are you repeating old patterns? Any negativity, self-talk, but also recognizing that everything happens in phases, or there's you've been through that phase for a long time, and you're now ready to let go of that, because there was identity created around that. That was who you identified with at the time, but to fully let go of it, you have to let go of that identity. So you can't be that person anymore, if that makes sense. The one you even tell yourself. Does that make sense?
That I can't be the person who has these issues, you mean?
Right. That's what you want to clear little by little, because if you identify with it, you keep it alive.
Yes, I've been working on that. Yes, thank you.
And especially what you say to yourself, because otherwise you fall into the victim mentality.
Yeah.
And that's separation.
Yes. And does he have do we have a similar thing? It seems like the symptoms are.
You do, in one sense, because it's mirroring. You're mirroring each other.
Yeah. All right. So by me stopping it will help him stop it too.
It will. And that's something that many people overlook, is that we'll be focusing on the outside, whereby shifting on the inside, then you will see the outside mirroring that. You know what I mean?
I do.
It doesn't make sense to the logical mind, but you much more than that.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Thank you for confirming that for me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
And good luck to you and your son.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Wow. All right. So beautiful and so supportive. We have time for one or two more questions. I'm going to go to Byron's question, because this is common here. Feeling not worthy. I know that this is a thought form and it's pervasive. What can one do to free ourselves from this thought form?
Good question. Let me just tune in here. I'm asking the Legion of Angels to move any wandering spirits. And I think there's another light from this question, from this message. The tool, collapsing, stating, saying, you're not my thought form, leave now, is one way of doing it. There's important message connected to it, though, that unworthiness coming up at the moment is also showing what's holding you back, in your case, Byron. So it's for you to see, not to make a story out of, in a sense, So if you can take it as a gift, as an empowerment, is that actually your higher self is now bringing that to the surface, just to show you what was holding you back or was limiting your expression, limiting your expansion, you shining, you're stepping up, you're becoming, you're being a higher version of yourself, and believing in yourself. So that's what I'm picking up there. So one way is that, say, to that thought form in your mind that's saying to yourself, I'm not good enough, or if you look in the mirror or whatever it is, you're not my thought form, leave now, and come back into the creator, the oneness, the being, that you are the one, you are the embodiment of the divine.
That feels so
I know
good.
it sounds simple, and it becomes more and more simple as we do more of it, but it's really about the observation and learning how to look at it from multiple perspectives and not feel like, okay, that's it. You know what I mean?
Speaking of quantifying it, how much of the work in unraveling that thought form, how much of the work would you say, what percentage comes from just the observation, the awareness of it? That's a majority of it, isn't it?
It is. That's the breakthrough, because that's when you see it. Oh my God, what the heck is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
It's shocking at first.
Yeah.
That we
Yeah.
allowed something to run our lives like that, and how we felt because of it. And it was just like taking us like a yo-yo. And that was no fun,
Just the other day, a friend of mine had this awareness that he was just speaking, and as he was speaking, the awareness that it happened. For example, he was scared of thunder. He said, and it only started when he was 10 years old. He'd hear thunder and have to go hide under the bed. It was that frightening to him. And as I was going to ask the question, because I knew his mother had died tragically when he was young, she stepped on a landmine and he witnessed it. So he's working through his own trauma. And he put the two together and said, before I even asked the question, he said, oh my goodness, it happened right after my mother died. And he's in his 40s now, and he realized this, but that was so huge. That little bit of awareness was just like life-changing in a way. So that too is pretty comforting, isn't it? That we can just become so in tune to ourselves and aware that that's the majority. And so that's the simple part of it. It is as simple as that, but it's just not so easy then to continue to stop ourselves from repeating those thought forms or those patterns. But it is comforting to know that just that little bit of awareness does so much work in the bigger scheme, the bigger picture.
And it's important to realize too, and recognize that it doesn't come on 100%. It's start out with small pockets of realizations, I see more and more and more. And then you notice that this actually applies to many other situations, a very similar pattern. So you expand more and more, and then eventually you become a conscious creator, observer at all times and creator. So because then you create accordingly. Then you can see how instantly how you communicate with yourself, how that creates the next outcome,
Yeah. How
the
we're fighting.
timeline you are aligning yourself with.
Yes. Beautiful. Really quite beautiful. Thank you. So here is a question, and it's Elizabeth's question, and it resonates with all of us. And first, I just want to say, so sorry we don't have time to get to all the questions and all of that, but please join us for the webinars, or join Peter in a personal session if you really like the assistance that you've seen him give to others and you feel that that would be beneficial in your life. Personal sessions with Peter are wonderful, high vibrational, and you will feel yourself flying high for, I don't know, weeks. I felt very high for weeks after our session together, Peter. All right, so this question is from Elizabeth, and it's beautiful. Many light workers and torch bearers are here to anchor in the new earth, and they're working in jobs that have nothing to do with their life mission. They end up working long days at both 3D careers that pay the bills and creative 5D service that feeds the heart and soul, but it's unfunded. How can we shift this in the collective to free up their time so that they can do what they came here to do?
Supporting it is important. So you being, as well, giving back, and as you are transitioning from the 3D to the 5D, moving on, trusting, being the change. You are the creator of the 5D. The new world is within you, as you're already aware of. Let me just tune into Gabrielle as well here, because he's peeking in here. The words coming through in your questions as well is it is quantified, or it's kind of like limited in a sense, saying that it's not here yet. So it's by shifting that belief, by not entering any of your energy into the undesired timeline of it's not being here yet, but instead shifting your vibration into we are already in the golden age. We are already fully supportive. We always been. It's a mind control. It's a old programming that told us otherwise, and that's why we've been experiencing it. The lack, the fear, all of that, but it's been there all along. So by the individual light worker, you, us, all of us, leaving that old dimension, leaving that old aspect of ourselves that believe that to be true, and fully stepping in to the limitless, to the golden age, to the heaven on earth, then we transcend all of those limitations. And that's where there is abundance. That's where there's unconditional love, there's support, there's harmony, there's balance. There's a balance in giving and receiving. So everybody's taken care of, because everybody's coming from that higher consciousness. They're coming from the heart, which is aligned with their mission and their place and reason for being here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. A beautiful message. New Earth is within us. It's our heart vibration that brings it forward as we really move on this planet. And I love that we are already in the golden age. And truly, I hope that as everyone takes that comment to heart, that we are already in the golden age. We are not separate, that their questions that they still have unanswered from our show today will be answered through contemplation of that message from Archangel Gabrielle. So beautiful, inspiring, and empowering. Thank you, Peter Hansen. This has been a beautiful time with you today. We are feeling the love in our hearts. I hope everyone is feeling empowered. And again, we invite you to join us in a webinar coming up, or if you're so inspired, please check out personal sessions with Peter. So Peter, as we say goodbye, I just want to give you and Archangel Gabriel a moment to close our sacred circle.
Awesome. Yes, absolutely. I'm just going to tune in and bring in here. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you, the group, the energy, the frequency, the calling. one of the questions today and about the golden spear and about the 70%. This is a microcosm of that. I can feel it. I can feel the energy. I can feel the cell. We can feel the cell, the connectiveness, the reasoning, the unified field of consciousness, that everybody is a soul family coming together. Not everybody is fully aware of that yet, but you are here for a reason. And we thank you. And we being a part of an aspect of you as well. We're coming into unity. We're coming back home. We're coming together. So thank you for showing up and continue to do that. If you want to see a change in the world, be a part of that change. Believe it, do it, just step up.
Happy stepping up, everyone. And so beautiful that we are the microcosm of New Earth. New Earth is a vibration, and you and Archangel Gabrielle today have assisted us in raising our vibration. Thank you, Peter. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's your love that you share, that you amplify, that truly does change our world and changes the environment. And we all thank you for it. And Gaia thanks you for it as well. Thank you, everyone. This has been beautiful with you all, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you, Peter. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. Access all quantum conversations, special offers from our guests, and online healing retreats by visiting acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe, as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is beautiful music available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.